My name is Dr. Maya Byfield. My business is The Phenomenal STEMist. I'm so excited to be here in Orange County because it's where I live. I live in Apopka, Florida. And I decided to make this business because I saw a need for underrepresented students to be successful in STEM, which stands for science, technology, engineering, math. And the best way I can do that is just provide products for parents to prepare them, whether it's a book or online STEM camps or just video podcasting. My goal is to transform this community, especially those who are underrepresented. And the way to do that is to help parents understand their children's minds and basically develop them at different stages of their lives to be prepared for a successful STEM career. Thank you so much. That's why I'm here. Hey, 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 it's the phenomenal STEMist on this special phenomenal financial freedom. It's the election, post election edition. What's going on, you guys? I'm with Jonathan Johnson. Jonathan, how are you?
I'm doing well. How you doing, man? I'm glad to be here.
You're doing well, even though Tuesday happened.
I'm doing well. I move forward quickly. I say I don't like to dwell on the past. I say, all right, what's my strategy, and I'm already planning on how I'm going to respond.
Listen, that's what I'm talking about. I was upset Tuesday, and then Wednesday, like I got a sense of relief. To
Yeah.
be honest with you, I was like, you know what? I don't want her running this country anyway. And then, I just got over it, and
Yeah.
I decided to move forward in the way I think. So I want to ask you first before we move on to our topic, which is how to build wealth in a racist society. That's a charged statement, isn't it? I know people are like, "What are you talking about, Maya? This is."
All right. I mean, I feel like I grew up in the South. All I've ever known is the South. I don't plan on leaving the South, right? So that's my world view has always been, this is what it is. Like, how can you, and I've known some of the most incredible, talented, influential, entrepreneurial black men and women throughout my lifetime, and they've been able to find their way. So that's my perspective, right? It's like, oh, that's that's creating a blind spot for them. Those are places that I can maneuver without their threat. So I have to see it differently. When you're born in it, it's just like maybe you see it a little different.
So would you say that this is you live in a racist society? Is that an extreme statement?
No, I don't think that's. I think that's an obvious statement. I feel like if anybody who feels like that's an extreme statement is either delusional or ignorant. And I don't mean that offensively, but
Right.
just by definition, they just don't understand what's going on or where they're at.
So l- l- what is a racist society, and why do you feel like we live in a racist society, I
Uh,
guess?
I would, and this is without my dictionary right next to
Dictionary,
me,
yeah.
but I would uh, define a racist society as a society that has been engineered to systematically oppress, withhold, uh, detour, or distract any specific group based on a racial profile.
Yeah, I really believe we live in a racist society. When you have redlining going on,
Uh, it's still happening. Like
it's still
this
happening.
stuff is
It's
still going on, like right now.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
it's still happening. when you have a more qualified person for a job and you purposely choose somebody less qualified strictly because of their color. This is happening today.
Oh yeah.
In my opinion, it happened at the highest level of American society last Tuesday. And I have gotten to the place where I no longer, this is just me, it might be charged. I'm talking from me, talking from as phenomenal STEMist. I no longer want to change America. I no longer want to change this society. I have accepted that this society has decided that this is how it wants to be. It is structurally created this way and it's going to stay this way. Am I like what like how do you have you are you in that you probably made that decision before me, Jonathan?
Well, it's I changed my perspective on what changing society looks like, right?
Okay, okay, let me hear what you're saying.
So now I feel like, all right, my responsibility is to exemplify or to show people how you can live the life you've ever, that you were designed to live, regardless of what any other obstacles may be there. Like, so that's like, okay, so that's my focus, right? All right, I'm gonna just lock in, get to where I need to be, put my family, set it up. And then once I'm set up, I can show, hey, yeah, this is all I did. Is this XYZ. Boom. There you go. Take that. Duplicate. I was in a meeting with Lyft Orlando not too long ago, and we were just talking about their model of some would call it gentrification. I call it ethical gentrification, where you're
Okay.
allowing the community the opportunity to participate in the value of raising. I was like, yo,
The raising of the
this is the model. Like this is it. So you can do this on a micro level. You can expand it. You can scale it to fit your network and your environment and your opportunity. We just now have to really like lock in and do our diligence individually to push through and like we can break our own barriers now.
so
We've got everything we need. Like it's here.
let's go. Let's break our own
It's
barriers.
here.
And I think about myself, right? As somebody who grew up in New York City, Jamaica, Queens, I'm a Generation Xer. I grew up in the height of the crack epidemic when this government was flooding crack into our communities. That was a structural act, right? And decimating our communities. I grew up in that. I recognize that. I survived it, and not only did I survive it, I thrived in spite of it. I was able to get an education. I was able to get a great career. I was able to build a business. I've been able to get mostly out of debt, besides this mortgage, which I plan to get out shortly. Right? I feel I've been able to build wealth to bypass the wealth gap, right? So I'm not speaking as somebody from an outsider in terms of financial success. I think I deem myself financial successful in the context of the median wealth of an American is maybe $140,000 growth their net worth, and I've bypassed that many times over as a black woman, as a black single woman. That so many people would have to be married to have amassed my wealth,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I'm not doing this to brag. I'm doing this to say that you can do well and thrive even in the midst of people coming against you. What would you say
Absolutely.
about yourself, John? Shout out to the stock market that blew up yesterday
I mean,
in spite of the racist intention. Those same people who had a
yeah.
racist intention that living in poor communities and rural communities don't have half or
I kind of
pennies to the
knew.
level of I made. You just made me money. You thought you were hurting me.
I knew it was coming. I saw the dip like a Monday. Everything started to drop. Even the week before, all my stuff started to drop. I said, "All right, let me go ahead and rack up." I started picking up, and like you said, Tuesday it started going and never stopped. I was talking to a buddy of mine just yesterday. We went to high school together, college together, like one of my few very close friends, and I was expressing gratitude, just like we're living a life I honestly didn't imagine living as a kid. Like, and not that we were so hard up. You know what I'm saying? Both my parents were college educated, master's degrees, doing their thing, working in the community. But my
Right.
dad's a pastor, my mom is a principal. So, and not like a regular principal, an Adventist school principal. So she
Yeah,
was,
so you wasn't that rich.
yeah. So it's not like we had all the money, but they did give me the exposure. So that when me and my wife got together, we were able to take that and generate our own money and income. And now, when family needs something, I'm able to make a decision without even thinking about it because we're blessed and we're fortunate. And I know that light it's not like lightning in a bottle, right? It's I'm not that special. My wife is brilliant,
That's
but
right.
she's not that special.
Right.
Everybody can do what we're doing.
That's what we're here to say. It it's not a lightning. It's not a once in a chance. It's not I ain't that special. That's one of the things I say when I do speeches. I ain't that special. I am special.
But not
There's
that,
no one
right?
in this there's no one in the world like me, right? That's a poem
Right.
that I learned. But I ain't that special. Like anybody could do that. And I want to say this before I start that I started off maybe 15 years ago with a negative net worth. I was negative $4,000 in my 30s.
Mhm.
And I was able to turn it around through God's help for sure, and understanding and exposure and learning about financial literacy. So what I'm saying is, in the midst of darkness, in the midst of people doing all kinds of things to try to hold you back, we live in a society and in a world that, especially now with technology and globalization, we can do it without people liking us anymore. Like I
Yeah,
don't
that ship has sailed so long ago, right? Because it doesn't matter.
don't.
It doesn't matter. And I think once we learn that we can be financially independent, uh, and it doesn't matter how somebody feels about me, or if they're impressed with me, or if I'm articulate, or if if my hair looks nice, right?
I
Then
don't gotta
how
cut my hair
but that starts to change how we start to feel about ourselves, because now
ourselves.
I understand where my value truly lies, right? My
Right.
value doesn't lie in how much I can emulate a certain class of people. My actual value lies in, oh wow, what I can build in my mind, what I can create, what I can develop. And that's where I've been just in my, as I'm matriculating through my 30s and 40s, that's what I'm learning. It's all about creation and development. Like
Yes.
what are you building? What can sustain itself without you, right? And it's just levels. And every year I grow a little bit more and I learn a little bit more. But it's kind of, there's got to be a push. For me, this has been a hard year, right?
Hmm.
And I said, all right, I'm done. I've made my decision. I'm done. I'm pushing everything into land development and learning really the craft of how to develop mini subdivisions is the area I want to go into, many rural subdivisions, right? And I say, like things are just so like I don't see the wealth that I thought I would be seeing by now. I'm disappointed with myself, and it's like it's over. Today is the day. Like it's done. And I feel like we all have to get to a point where we're like, you know what, I'm done. I'm done overspending on my bank account. I remember back in college. No,
Yeah.
them overdraft fees, man. Oh, I was like, I'm sick. Like,
I ain't had
why
none of
do
that
I owe more in overdraft fees than I have in my account? Like,
in
this
your
is
account.
like I'm done with this lifestyle. So I made changes. A couple years later, I want to see my money earn money. So I'm done. I've got to learn how the stock market works. I got to figure it out. And it took me like 2 or 3 years to just dig in, but I was tired of not knowing, and so that pushed me to discipline myself, stop watching movies at night, stop gaming at night, and lock in and
Lock
learn
in.
learn a new skill. Now I can watch a movie or play a game because I've learned that skill and I've appropriately allocated it throughout my life.
That's powerful, and that's something that I don't have. I have a top five ways of building success in the midst of a racist society, but that wasn't on it. And I feel like that's the foundation. You got to have a skill set.
Yeah,
You got to have an education in something. You
something,
have to have a mastery in something. You
something. Yep.
cannot just be a worker working for somebody. You got to have a skill set.
Have to, have to.
Foundational. So on on everything of which I say is built upon having some form of skill set in which you can create something,
That's it.
in which somebody needs your skills or services.
Yep.
Period.
Period.
And
Period.
let me tell you something. There are people all over this country that think somebody's going to give them something if they vote somebody else in. Let me tell you something. There are people building robots to replace
The
all of y'all,
unskilled
all of
people.
them, all the unskilled.
Yep.
So, in order to thrive in a racist society, you cannot be unskilled.
I'll put it this way, and I mean no shade toward anybody, but I can remember when McDonald's used to regularly staff four
That's right.
cashiers,
Right.
four people standing next to each other making $8 an
That's right.
hour, every day. Right
Amen.
now, you don't have one who sits there. Everybody's in the back, put in your red, and then they come to the front. Like it's if you don't have skills, they will try to erase you.
They are they're creating self order.
Self.
It's automating. Most of those jobs will be automated within the next 5 years.
Yep. Yep. And as these technology barriers are broken, we have a lot of jokes about them. But you look at these the Elon Musk robots, right? And so that's more of the commercial, the Disney version. But when you look
Right.
at your real engineering firms who are really focused on innovation, and not to say he's not, but you get what I mean.
Yeah.
Like this is their primary focus. We're going to see engineering and robotics growth in leaps and bounds within the next 5 years.
5 years, guys.
Warehouse jobs, everything's at risk.
Everything.
If it's not complex and it takes a human touch, it's
And
at
a human
risk.
thought, either a human thought
Yep.
or human hands.
Yep. It's at risk.
Human thought or human hands, is at risk. So all of these people talking, why do you think Musk is so ingrained in government? Him and many other engineering firms
Yep.
are creating laws and policies that will erase.
Yes.
I'm trying to build up a level of urgency, number one, but not to make people afraid, but to empower people to get a skill set,
Yep.
to get a humanized skill set where your hands can't be replaced.
Mhm.
And a lot of your hands can be replaced. There are only certain types of skill sets where your hands can't be replaced. And number two, where your mind can't be replaced.
Yep.
When you're really not, because your logical mind can be replaced, but your emotional mind and your communal mind can't be replaced.
Mhm.
So you need to develop those skill sets that can't be replaced. So that's powerful. So here's my top 5. Let's see if we can have a dialogue about it.
Right.
And Jason O'Rourke is going to try to come on. If he can, it's okay. But we'll start with number 1. Invest in Black-owned businesses and enterprises. I feel like wealth cannot be just individualized. I think what we lack in investing in our community enterprises.
And
First of all,
also,
we don't build that many. And if we build them, they're usually non-for-profit or individualized versus involving multiple people that you can employ. So what you think about that? Invest in Black-owned businesses and
I say,
enterprise.
as we're looking at Black economics, invest in Black enterprise as it relates to infrastructure. Right? That's where, because infrastructure is what's going to last into the next generation, the next iterations of business and development. And so if you're investing in infrastructure, as everything moves up, your stuff doesn't get replaced. You're the infrastructure. You continue to rise with the value of the community you're investing in. If you're investing in more and just your kind of your surface businesses and programs, you can make money there, absolutely. But that money is not typically long standing. Or if there's a transition within that business, then you have risk of drop off. So when you're looking at investing in local businesses, which I say, it for over the last couple of years, it was taking me about a year to save, well, 6 to 8 months to save up about $40,000 to invest. So I would start in January, and by like October, November, I've got around 40 grand, and I'm looking at, okay, what's my move going to be, right? And
Mhm.
so if you're able to do something like that, now you can actually go in these communities and invest in the community and really infuse growth and life into some spaces that really need it. One thing I recommend you doing is just kind of getting involved, right? For free first.
Free first, okay.
Free first. I'm working with some Pine Hills improvement groups and organizations, and they're saying, hey, so in Pine Hills, the city government is saying to these businesses along the Pine Hills corridor, we will for free replace your give you free city sewage and take you off of septic, right? But the problem is none of the business owners are responding to sign up for this service. So
Wow.
and then in a year it's going to be like city mandates and stuff that are going to fine them, and then it's going to be a lot of problems. And so we're saying, hey, what if we just go out and engage these businesses as individuals? Like, I'm going to go to this business, knock on the door and say, hey sir, hey ma'am, I need you to pay attention to this because X, Y, and Z is going to happen. And so while I'm doing that, I'm getting to meet businesses, I'm getting to meet people, and they're telling me, oh, well, we're going to leave. Actually, we're moving back up north. We can't handle this. We're going, oh, well, now I'm discovering opportunities
Opportunities to buy.
to buy. Right. And so it's
Oh
like, oh
wow.
man, if I wasn't doing this for free, I would have been on the outside. Now I'm able to walk around and say, "Oh snap! Okay, let's talk. Let's go to lunch and see if maybe we can work something out."
So wow. So wow. I want to talk about the lack of trust. Like, so you say I'll offer this for free to transition your sewage from septic to, whatever. They're like, that sounds like a gimmick, right? A lot, right? Maybe many businesses don't know to
Right.
respond or don't trust. And but to your point, that's probably essential. So when you talk about investing in the infrastructure, you're
Mhm.
talking about
Yeah.
in the physical uh environments, buildings, etc.
In
Like,
both, I would
okay,
say definitely. I would say the physical environment and industry.
industry.
Industry is
Okay.
very important. Like we not many of our businesses aren't really locked in to an industry that can carry them and support them. My man, look at him.
He's in the
It is
house.
always a pleasure to be on in any space, virtual or otherwise, with the Honorable Jonathan Johnson. My week is complete. It got a little spicy in the middle. I didn't know what I was feeling, but I feel so much better now.
Oh, man.
Because I get to see Jonathan, and that big afro on the wall behind him. I get to see that.
Yeah, Jason. Yes, man. Jason has been my calming agent since Oakwood, boy.
Oh man,
Sitting
Jason
in,
or
sitting in
Jonathan
class with
Johnson.
Jay and him listening. I'm like, these guys are crazy. And I would just watch him. He's a little older, he was mature, had some experience in life, and I would just watch like, man, he's not getting real excited right now. He'll wait and then take his moment. Excuse me, and he would just speak so eloquently, and I'm like, what is this guy doing? But sure enough, man, earned all the respect of every student that we had, every teacher. Always, man, just always respected you.
Well,
Always a pleasure, Jason.
the feeling is mutual for Jonathan. I've always admired your community orientation and entrepreneurial spirit.
Absolutely,
I feel
absolutely.
like I did no, I don't. I'm not gonna say I feel that's too nebulous. I definitively did not capitalize on your presence when I lived in Florida. I did
Yeah.
not
Mm.
because I did not understand. I just didn't understand. Um, but don't let me get in the same space again.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
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 Shout
Don't let
out.
me get in the same space again.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take it for all it's worth, Doc.
No doubt. No doubt.
Listen, I wanted you guys on here because, I wanted to show, beautiful black men who are thinkers, who are, not only thinkers, but like they on the same wavelength as me. And I want to show the unified nature. Look at them eating the noodles. The
Listen, I'm hungry.
unified, it's all good. Unified nature of who we are. There was a lot of, talk about black men that, they're voting for 45 and yada yada yada. They're not united with black women. I feel like, first of all, it's not significant. Do me a favor, one of y'all mute each other because I'm hearing a feedback. Or turn me down, maybe. I think it might be you, Jason. Turn me down a little bit. But it's like kind of like it's not significant numbers, right? So it's like 80%, 92%. According to the numbers, it's not a significant difference between black men and women in how we politically move. And so that's just a meant to divide. So I love that you guys could come on with me and we could talk about ways to move us forward. We're in the middle of talking about 5 ways to build financial success even in a racist society. I don't got time to cry. I don't got time to survive. I want to thrive, right? And not to negate the feelings of tears for those people who have cried on Tuesday and Wednesday. So I'm not, I got people got not me, but people got chastised for, trying to over spiritualize the loss, whatever. But I'm ready to move forward. I've been ready. So we were talking about investing in black infrastructure, Jason, investing in black owned infrastructure, how it's important to build up our communities. He was talking about Pine Hills. Pine Hills is a majority black neighborhood. It's so important. You wanted to say something about that?
I mean, Pine Hills so let's start first. Whatever is done has to happen at a local level.
Right.
It has to happen. And whatever happens in Pine Hills may not be duplicable in Detroit, but the principles can follow, right? So if anybody listens to, I don't remember his name now. He had an African American name and he changed his name to an African name, and he's a big time talk guy on
Podcasts.
Yeah, and he's a big guy, big black guy, Pan African.
What's his name?
Yes, you know what I'm talking about. But there are some things that
Umar?
we have. Thank you very
Kumar.
much.
Yeah.
I could not remember the gentleman's name.
The good doctor.
There are just some things we have to have that we have to, as a collective, invest in. We have to. We have the church. I'm not here to discuss or not discuss the church. I'm saying that's an institution. Its functionality at this point, I'm not discussing.
Yeah.
But it's there. It's still there. We need hospitals, or at least clinics. We need banks. We need schools at minimum, those basic things. Here's the challenge that we have. And I said this to you, Maya, earlier, is that we had 60 years since integration for us to understand that we had access and space to build our own. And what we did was we took those years and built for ourselves.
We built for ourselves, trying to be cool with them.
The larger culture.
Yeah.
Okay. That's what we did. We took for ourselves, trying to imitate the larger culture. So anything that we do going forward, if we are to survive and thrive, cannot be done as individuals. There has to be a collective mindset that I am committed. If I need things shipped, I'm going to John. If I need math done, I'm going to Maya. Like, that has to be a commitment to a communal concept that is long. This isn't me now. This isn't me. This is civil rights activists have said that the middle class has left. its own people from our demographic. So if we're going to do, and I believe we can, but it will take some intentionality. Part of that intentionality is thinking communally. And and when we look at who thinks communally in this nation, you're looking at other minorities. It's just a reality, which means we got to start thinking, okay, how do we pool our resources? How do we buy the block? How do we live in communal housing, not in row house? How do we live in a housing environment that everybody has a space and everybody eats? How do we do that?
He was talking about Wu-Tang.
We never followed our own heroes. Wu-Tang, God bless them. Wu-Tang, right? You got Wu-Tang, Public Enemy, NWA, for Christ's sake. You know, DMX. Every single one of these hip hop dudes comes out and they start with a group. They don't come out singular. It's not what they do. It's not the ones that are remembered. You know,
That's not the business model.
That's not the model. You come out as a group, and then everybody is on everybody else's album, and then everybody gets royalties from that album, and then next thing you know, now they got a separate album, but they always come back to the group. That's the model for hip hop.
Hot Boys reunion.
Right? Right. That's
Current
the model
events.
for music. We have to make that a model for life.
Yeah.
How do we build the level of trust to do that? Because we've been talking about that for a long time, but we don't do it. Go ahead.
I really believe that it's all about your personal network. I think the problem is that within our personal networks, we don't have enough resources to work with the people we trust. So now we've got to explore new networks of people we don't really know, who don't really know us, and we're open to be taken advantage of, right?
Oh, that's
And so,
powerful.
and we as people of color don't always have multiple chances at it, right? This was my shot, right? This was my, oh, now I'm out, right? And so it's like, okay, within our network, and I'm so thankful, you know, growing up in my parents sacrificing, like, I got a lot to say about Adventism, but that Adventist Education Network, I'm locked in. All my investor groups are people I've known and went to school with and grown up with, and my wife has grown up with, and family. If I need to raise $100,000, I can do it, like through people who I know and who know me. Right.
And trust. Okay.
And trust.
So
And if you
that's
do
what
that
it is. We got to
locally-
do it locally
Yes.
with your network.
With your net, like it has to be your network, because if not, like, who else is going to understand that if this is an investment situation or a loan for my business, I can't start paying you back immediately. I still have to run my business. So we got to work this out in a way that you want to see my business succeed. So if you don't know me, it's really hard for me to get that foot in the door. Like,
But you also got to be able to do it. You got to hold yourself accountable to your people, because there are a lot of people who do that and then they'd run off with the money. And then family is sometimes the worst people to loan money to, that they don't even remember that you borrowed money from them. You know,
here's my concern with that. We also have to do our due diligence as stewards.
Yes.
Like, I'm responsible. Like, yeah, talk to me. What do you need? Let's talk about this business plan. Let's talk about what you're trying to do. Because I may have some expertise that can help make sure my money doesn't get lost. Like, me and my brother have worked and invested in each other's projects for the last 20 years.
Right.
Right. And sometimes they go great, sometimes not so great. But I know that with beyond a shadow of a doubt, he wants my children to eat. He knows that with beyond a shadow of a doubt, I want his children to eat. So if there's any challenges we face, he understands that, okay, it's not John being slick. He's really trying to work something out. And the same for him. Now we have stipulations and we have guidelines over the years, boundaries that we've learned about each other over the years, right? And that's appropriate. Good fences make good neighbors, right? We're as we're growing in wealth and all these other, we're growing in intelligence too. So we're not making the same silly. So as a person in your family who maybe, because it's not, thankfully in this generation, there are more of us who are seeing some kind of wealth than maybe previous generations, but it's still not that many of us. And
Right.
so typically there's maybe 2 or 3 of you out of your family who can make that happen. So it's not just about giving them the money, it's about elevating them so that they can manage the money. I want to be able to give you $50,000 and walk away and come back next year and have 65.
Yeah.
Like, who would have? And I get 130 back? Yes, please, without a doubt. So let me put you on game. This is what I've been doing. This is how I've been doing it. Oh, well, this is what I wanted to do. You know, I'm blessed that my wife's, all her family, they're entrepreneurs. All her siblings are
Mhm.
entrepreneurs. So me, I'm able to. So what did you do with your business, bro? Hey, sis, how did that work out? And
Mhm.
I can learn from these different industries and different businesses. Okay, how can I apply this to what I'm trying to accomplish? And they're able to do the same thing, and we're able to learn and grow from each within our network. This is all one network. I've
Yeah.
I've named 5 people so far
Right.
in one network. That's not including best friends and god brothers who are also in that network, financially contributing to projects, and we're benefiting from.
Yeah.
Right, so I'm up to
Yeah.
7, 10 people
Yeah.
in my network of people I would call to pick my kids up from school.
And if you can call them with your greatest possession, you should be able to
That
trust them. Which I got you, Jason. We're talking about, guys. Hey, what's up, y'all? We're talking about 5 ways to build financial success in a racist society. The next up is develop diverse income streams. You wanted to say something, Jason?
No, what John was
No,
saying
I
is
said,
spot on. I mean,
yeah.
he's spot on about it. I mean, the idea of your personal network. I mean, that's really that's the model. That's the model that we see everybody else doing that we're not.
Mhm.
It's a family
Mhm.
model.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's no way to get around it. I mean, it's as old as antiquity, you know. And when you didn't have, you attached yourself to a great family.
Mhm.
Mhm. That's
That's
true.
that's where the mafia comes from. The mafia model is old Roman houses.
Mhm.
House of Caesar, House of Brutus, blah, 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 blah. And for the Christians that are watching, they had it in the Bible.
Mhm. The church.
That's what you attached yourself to the house of Lydia, and she made sure you ate.
That's deep.
Dorcas is taking care of people, and she's the head of the house,
Gang life.
right? But for some strange reason,
Yeah,
we've left that
Yeah.
in preference of competing for individuality.
that's a Eurocentric mindset.
It is. It is.
And as
It's not. It's not. It's dishonest. It's dishonest. And I can say that um, working in a hospital, you can tell the families that are close and the families that are not,
Mm.
because the families that are close got people flying in. Families that are not got ones and twos, and everybody else is calling.
Mm. That's
And
deep. That's
you can
deep.
look at it. So like I'm just saying, like, the communal model is how you the very first bank, before there were banks, it was the family vault.
right.
The family vault was the bank. The family decided how they're going to expend the finances. Everybody had a hand in it.
Yeah.
So if we're going to move forward with that,
We gotta come communally. We gotta develop a level of trust. We gotta develop a level of accountability, a level of stewardship. Because
Mhm.
trust me on this one, I am high on stewardship, and I don't. Fearful. I ain't gonna lie of being with people who are not that way. But if we can hold each other accountable, we must, because it's greater when we're together than we are individually.
Listen, and I'm glad you brought that up. Thank you for reminding me of that, Maya. Particularly in among the Black nation, we have to recognize that for the last 50 years, documentedly, um, Black women have been asked to do a lot. The most educated of our people, Black women. It's fine. So they have the know-how. Additionally, Black men have consistently been considered a threat, even to the degree of housing. You can have this house man, but the man has to leave. So if the 2025 project fulfills its promise that Matt Walsh said on a podcast, that is going to roll back the 19th Amendment, okay, and all things attached to it, and roll it to the man in a woman's life, then as that man, I have to recognize that even though society might value my gender above this lady, I don't.
Facts.
Because she has a skill set that I don't have. They may only want to talk to me, but she has to be with me or we don't talk. Because in African tradition, in African Native American tradition, Iroquois particularly held women in high regard, very high regard, very high regard. In Africa, the queen she had strong access. So if we're going to build wealth, the trust has to be coupled with humility.
But here's my question. And that sounds good, brother. This sounds good. But if you've come from a culture where it is widely accepted and applauded for you women to be quiet in church, how on earth are you going to ever cultivate an organic respect for women?
Mercy.
I agree.
Mercy.
I'm not going to defend that in any sense, way, shape, or form. I'm not going to defend it because I don't agree with it.
At some point, I feel, and this, sorry, y'all, but I do believe we have to we've got to pull ourselves out of Babylon.
Yeah.
And that includes everything. Even mama's religion.
Mercy.
And I know that's, but the proof is that, like, it's there. It's all there, right? It's all there. By your fruits you shall be known. Okay, so if we go back from, the last 6,000 years and measure fruit, yeah, it's not looking too hot, especially to melanated people of the world.
No argument for me.
And we're deconstructing these foundations that have been built in our minds and in our hearts. That's where we're getting we're learning our most freedom. Do you remember when you were advised not to invest?
At church.
At church.
Stock market is the sin, is gambling.
While at that same very time, your actual Seventh-day Adventist church, 501c3, was invested in the very same stock market we melanated people were being advised to not invest in.
Absolutely.
So true.
Do you know where 100, I'm not even going to say 100, where 90% of the Adventist church growth has come from in the last 20 years during that same period of time? So slavery just turned into a different model. But my bad. I'm hijacking. We weren't even supposed to talk about that.
No, you're right though. No,
right.
I don't speak on it, man.
Because I want to focus, because I don't want to, split the group up. We're focused on going in one direction, so that can.
Let's keep that. So
my
but
bad.
to your point, the number 2 is to develop diverse income streams, and so we have to reject many of the things that we've been taught from many of our oppressors through mechanisms that we trust, like the church, like schools, okay, like our families. Develop diverse income streams. I'm talking about investing in real estate, investing in the stock market, investing in entrepreneurial efforts. We cannot make our money off of our time. I made thousands of dollars yesterday, not because I did anything, but because racist people put a racist man in office.
I'll take it.
I'll take it.
My wife and I talk about this all the time. Is it your brain or your back that's going to earn you your life? That's going to earn your living? Your brain or your back? You can choose. And I get it. I got a strong back, but man, I'm getting old now.
That's right.
My back is getting tired. Like, let me put that brain to work. It's way, way more efficient and effective at growth and earning and like the best muscle you got. if it's a muscle, probably your heart is the best muscle, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, I got your point. And it's critical. It's the best organ you have.
Well, there we go. Yeah, I'll
Number one
take that.
organ that you have.
Yeah.
And to your point, there are so many of us that say, "Oh, I don't need this. I don't need education. I don't need this. I can get a job doing this for $30 an hour." I'm like, "Yeah, you can for 20 years." Right? You know, but when you're 45, you don't want to still be doing the things that you could do at 13, 18.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to. But your brain will work forever. Your brain will
Yes.
work way up into the 90s. I have my aunt, my grand aunt, my grandmother's sister is still practicing law, but maybe 20 years after she's retired.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because you could do it, and she's in her 90s,
Mm-hmm.
still practicing, because it doesn't take much work, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So do both. I'm a fan of skill sets. Now,
Absolutely.
I'm a fan of
Absolutely.
hand and back skill sets, but also develop your mind.
Develop your
So
mind.
yeah, so listen, get in the stock market, you guys. You got to get in the stock. I mean, something as simple as a Webull account, something as simple as a Roth IRA, and just, you know, I think only 8% of African Americans have a individual stock market account.
That's not that
92% of Black people in this country do not have an individual and stock market account. When I mean by that, meaning they probably invest in their 401k, they probably
Yeah.
have an IRA, but they don't have a stock market account where they buy stocks outside of their retirement.
Right.
92% of people don't do that. Only 8%. That's where our wealth comes from, guys. Our wealth comes from, besides just your $7,000 in your Roth
Right.
IRA that you can make, you need to be putting way more money in the stock market, an individual stock market account.
And let me just add this as well. As I think about this from a social hierarchy standpoint,
Mhm.
we have to recognize that whoever owns the company runs your life. You can call it a CEO, you can call it a king, you can call it a president.
Massa.
Right? You can call it whatever you want, but whoever is the top runs the show. So if we're talking about generating more wealth, and I don't even know the numbers, but I know like in the Jewish community that the money rolls through the Jewish community like 1,000 times. I'm exaggerating.
Yeah.
Before it leaves the community, right? The highest person in there is probably a rabbi, because everybody else has their own stuff. So what happens now is that if everybody in your community has their own thing, now you have a more equilateral relationship among the community versus a hierarchy. Everybody's not making for $30 per hour working for one person. They all make their own money and everybody's fine. The hierarchy is being, yeah.
But we're consumed with the hierarchy. Our community is so obsessed with having a hierarchy.
Because we're insecure.
Wow.
And we were trained, help me, Lord Jesus. Western civilization is predicated on the hierarchy and the commodification of human beings.
Yep.
Right.
That is Western civ. It's a meritocracy.
Right. Meritocracy. Yeah.
That's what it is. And
we've bought into it.
Well, yes. And the thing is that the average underclass, lower class individual will never have enough merit. You'll never, the merits that are taught to the underclass are the merits of honesty, integrity, etc., etc., etc. Yes, I see James Baldwin. Yes, sir. Absolutely.
He said the same. That's it.
The merits that we're taught are designed to keep us under. The merits that they operate by are radically different than the merits that we're teaching.
Okay, explain that to me. What are the merits that they're teaching?
So we're taught, so we are taught integrity, honesty, hard work, right? Your merit is in what you do for yourself, how you earn that. But when you look at what's happening in other places, it's nepotism. That's the merit that works. Nepotism is a merit that they're taught that we're not taught. It's not even part of how we think. So we go into other
We're
spaces.
trying to earn our way into their merit while they're giving it away based on who they know.
Absolutely,
Which
because
we will never get that because we don't look like them.
we're not family.
We're not family. Woo!
And so we
That network.
we're not family. And so we have to, with love and respect to everybody, we have, the system does not count us as family.
Right.
Right.
And so we have to be our own family.
Right.
Stop trying to be in somebody else's family. Love your people. I don't hate anybody else. I love my people because that's my family. So I'm going to invest in my family.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to do. And if we do it properly, we end up with a much more egalitarian approach.
I agree. I do believe though that one critical component before our financial horizon starts to brighten, I think there has to be a healing of our community / our family, right?
Yes.
That there's the chasm between the male and the
And a woman.
female.
Oh my
There's
God.
something, I don't know what toxicity is really bad, and it's
Yeah.
perpetuated in our children now. And I'm like, what? Like, it's Neanderthalic, and
Yeah.
it's nauseating on how it's toxifying our community. Like, you can see it in the younger generations on throughout social media and all these things of how their perspective of marriage and family and community and togetherness, what it looks like,
But
right?
here's the deal. Here's the deal, John, because that's true. Who's getting taught that? It's not the middle upper class. It's the middle lower class. The middle lower class is fed that. I've worked with upper and middle class people. They're not taught that at all. And they can listen to all the hip hop business that we put out and that we're told to put out that's destructive. And no. You can listen. You listen to that. That's fine. However, you're gonna do this.
True,
but I feel like there's not enough middle upper class so you're having middle upper class female, let's say, daughters there's not a lot of males in that line, so they're left with anybody, right? And there's a chasm here. There's not a lot of people in the middle upper class. So
Well, when I take a middle class, I'm not speaking of us. Because people that I work with is not us.
well, okay, so you're talking about black people. You're talking okay. I get it.
The people that are listening and that are being negatively affected 9 times out of 10 are the middle lower class. So that's that of all demographics. But when you get up above middle and you start seeing who's up there, man, they're not affected by this.
Okay.
At all.
Connected. Smartphone connected.
But I think what John is saying though is about us. Like, in order for us to develop financially and do all the things that we're trying to do, we got to heal the black family. And the black family structure is decimated. And it's not just because of single mothers, or it's literally there's less single mothers out here. There's actually just single women. And they're less married men. There are actually a lot of single men, and we're not getting along. And there's deception going on. There's people lying to one another. We're not healthy.
And I would even say, like, because we get caught up in the marriage talk, right? Like, they have to be together in just our community.
Yeah.
If I see a black woman, I revere her. Period.
Right.
Like, that's just what it is. Like, until you give me a reason not to. And that's just that, right? So the default for my respect for you is automatically there, right? Like, you have to prove to me that you don't want my respect for me to not respect you, right? And that's just, my community holds a special. That's how I've decided to deal with my people, of male, female, whatever. I see you in the store. Yes, my brother, I'm giving you respect. I see you somewhere. I'm at work. I'm giving you respect. Why? Because you're one of me. I respect myself. Like, you are a reflection of who I am. right?
Yeah.
And so I feel like a lot of our young men and young women are discontent with each other because they're discontent with themselves. And so
Mm.
what we're seeing is just projection being played out in real time and people
Yeah.
responding to each other's projections
On each
of
other.
themselves, of their unhealthy, their toxicity, them not having those examples of, you know, I want to move, even though I know the intent wasn't malicious or negative, even away from the social class element of it, because growing up in the rural South, most of the most of the people I knew were not in the upper middle class. In fact,
Yeah.
my family was one of the few in the in the lower middle class, and we weren't even hitting on much, right? And
Hmm.
so all these other groups in the class below are the people who I learned the most from. Right, these
Hmm.
were the people at my church who were civil march participants, the civil rights march participants.
Yep.
These were the people who were the
Yep.
farmers who literally taught me
Yep.
agriculture and development. These were carpenters at the time because
Yep.
we still weren't making bread. Like
Smartphone
these weren't like rich people.
Yep.
There
Right.
was a few who had made their way. We had some lawyers and doctors, and we had
Mhm.
that too. But in a lot of the rural churches I was at, right, when we got to the big markets, it was different. Yeah, we get to Winston Salem, we get to Georgia. Yeah, okay, there's a lot more wealth in the area. But when we were in some of those rural communities, there was not a lot of wealth at that time in the 80s and 90s.
Hmm.
But the discipline and the diligence that I learned, like those are the things that I feel are pushing me and my wife to these new levels.
Mm.
I'm like literally like this whole land development dream I'm on is because of growing up in the country in South Carolina,
Mhm.
North Carolina, and
Mhm.
Georgia. Like, oh
Mhm.
snap! No, there's value here. Yo,
Yeah.
there's so much. Like I've always been like, there's value in the rural areas, right? That's just
Hmm.
it's not discovered. So it
Mhm.
takes more work to discover that sometimes. Like Pine Hills is easy because it's a lot of people there.
It's
New
already
York
developed.
is already
Yeah.
developed. Nah, hey, let's go develop something. So you get your crew. You may have to flip some houses in Pine Hills to gain some capital because development isn't cheap. But then you
Hmm.
take that money out, and now let me go work with some of my brothers and sisters in in Highlands County,
Mm.
Yep.
right? That's us down there too. All right, so let me
Right.
slide in Highlands, and now it's different. Right now, I've got money coming in on a different scale. I'm able to lock in with some local people and see what I can make happen.
Yep.
Right, I
No,
go to
so
Costa Rica, and nobody Costa Rican own half the stuff down there is owned by somebody who's not from there.
right. We got to get to the point where we own stuff that we're from and stop selling out, right? So, let's go back to what we're talking about. Y'all give me some rich information. So, um we got to be more communal. That's what I'm hearing from you for the most
Yeah,
part. We got to respect one another at every level,
yeah,
right? Both in terms of class and gender,
yeah.
right? Okay. So, number 3, we need to prioritize financial literacy.
Absolutely.
I think, like, and this is going to the stewardship model.
Yeah.
If you don't know how money works and investment works, etc., then you're just gonna lose money, and then there's no trust. We're not building anything. We're just lost. So I
Let me
feel
say
like
it this. Let me
that's
say it this way.
foundational.
Let me say it this way, because I believe this. There isn't a black church that should remain a church that does not teach financial literacy.
Period.
If a black church is not teaching its constituents financial literacy, then that church should close.
I think
Close
the black
down.
church should be a bank
I'm in agreement.
How about that?
and teach financial literacy.
I agree.
And then
Wow.
you can actually fund your business projects of your congregation, and now you all get rich. Now you don't even got to worry about tithe. You blessing the community just because y'all got it. You need
I
the
agree.
tax. You need the tax burden lifted.
Yep. I agree.
Right.
That's the best. And that's actually how it originally was.
We're in a situation where the majority of our money is moving up away from us to a bunch of Trump supporters.
Yeah,
And like, I'm talking about the Black Adventist Church. Yeah,
yeah.
I'm thinking about the article that came out from Fulcrum endorsing Donald Trump. These
Mhm.
are These are Seventh-day Adventist people, and I'm recognizing that we're just funding.
These are your leaders.
I digress. So to your point in terms
I
of
don't think you digress. I think that's a very, if you're talking to Advent, I think it's a very valid question that we need. Currently, right now, the Black Adventist Church is still funding 1/5. The Black North American Adventist Church pays 1/5 the global tithe.
Mhm.
Not a nation in Europe.
Mhm. And
1/5.
we're funding people that are oppressing us.
1/5. We send up 22%, 22 to 25% every year on global tithe. Technically, for what our community needs here, we need to cut it in half. Easily, 22%. Drop it down to 11%.
6,
Easily.
5.
I'm fine with that. I'm just saying, just being gracious, 11%.
Yeah.
And be done.
Yeah. But you know what? I would say run it like a business, right? Run it like a business. Okay, I'm fine with 11%. But now you're going to send down representatives that can get my church operating functionally as a business, so it's generating its own revenue, it's building the community. We're going to have a clinic back here. You're going to send us the model so that we can hire nurses and doctors. Yeah, I have no problem. Yeah, I'll pay you that money. I'll give you the tithe and offering. You can have it all. But
Bring it back.
give me something back. It's
There
an
you go.
investment. It's an investment.
100%.
Like for too long, we just been giving, and that's that. Because God said, Cap.
And let me tell you that the conferences. I need to say it again. The state conferences are all but dead. There's not a significant amount of baptisms taking place in them. They're being held together by immigration. Period. It's immigration and whatever institutions they have in that state. That is what's bolstering their budget. They don't look at baptisms. I know this for a fact. They don't look at baptisms. They look at the bottom financial line.
Mm-hmm.
Are they still soluble?
Mm-hmm.
And if that's the case, they're having a winning year.
They're still having a good year,
Right.
and that's the system and setup, and it's, in my opinion, destructive. So to bring it back to our point, we have institutions in our community that the people are used to going to, i.e., the church. That should be one of the major hubs for the teaching of financial literacy.
Absolutely.
Teaching
And
and
behave.
it's got to do more than teach.
And the creation
And the
of
creation.
communal commerce.
There we go. That's it. It's got to do both. It can't just. It's got to do both. If we paying, you got to. Come on, lock in. You got to. If I mean, when I bring LeBron to my team, brother, you better score.
Better work.
You got to work.
You got to work. So, what are other ways we can prioritize financial literacy? So, of course, Phenomenal Financial Freedom. I do this. I haven't been doing it every Monday of late, but I have videos upon videos of training and literacy. I think this is so critical. It's funny. The week before Kevin Samuels died, I prayed. I said, Lord, I put it on Facebook. Actually, I said, Lord, help my community watch more videos from Warren Buffett than Kevin Samuels. That was my prayer.
He said, "All right."
And the Lord answered my prayer.
Hey, it happens.
But listen, we were obsessed with that dude. We are obsessed with those kind of things on social media. The things that have our attention versus financial literacy. That there are tons of videos about what you can do to build wealth. How we don't learn those things. Why are we so caught up in entertainment and in social media?
Because that's where we're accepted by the majority culture. If you look at how we function, right, in this society where we are embraced, okay, it's in entertainment.
Yeah. And
we are this nation's gladiators.
Yeah.
We are the gypsies, right? That we are the ones that bring the entertainment, that make everybody laugh, that push the cultural fashion forward without our name on it. That is where we have found acceptance in the greater culture. And so Like what you don't like, you don't see Asians in our space. They're
Yeah,
in
we're
the
doing
science.
that. Yeah.
They're in that space. That's where they are. You understand? We have taken the entertainment space.
Right.
I'm not saying. I'm just saying. It's just what it is.
I feel like that goes back to our earlier conversation about industry. Like we've got to connect our investments into industry is the vehicle. Like if you think about how America was even developed, like it started with an industrial revolution, right? Like
Mhm.
that's where the wealth in America was brought to the surface. Like that's when America became
Products.
America. The industry. What is our industry? Are we going to lock in on logistics, or what are we going to like? Pick one. Pick one and start teaching you, sending your kids to school for it, focusing in, learning the skills so that we can have an industry that supports. And then once our community is getting fat off the wealth of that industry, now we can be creative and start looking and exploring in new spaces and new places and expanding and growing because we have the resources to support that growth. We jump out with our creativity and it withers. One generation and it's done.
Yeah.
One generation and it's down.
Yeah.
You don't have any like where's the
Any
nutrients
any
coming
any
from?
real thing.
Yeah. So it has to be aligned with an industry. That's why I like the development and real estate because it's an industry and there's no gates. You're your own gate to investments in that space, right? How much money can you hustle up?
Mm-hmm.
Shoot, you can buy property for 7,000, less than that, 3,000.
Mm-hmm.
Them tax liens, man, what? It's online now. Log on. You can buy. I'm looking at Lake County right now. A whole neighborhood worth of houses. Not one house is going for over 10 grand.
Wow.
In a whole, you could buy your whole neighborhood and come up with a development plan and have investors. And you'll put in $2 million in the neighborhood, and in 5 years it'll be a $7 or $8 million neighborhood.
There you go.
That's hard industry. Real estate.
Real stuff. Like, but that stuff isn't easy. It's hard. Like that. It's not an easy push, right? So
But I
people don't
feel
want
like
to do it.
but to your point, and I'm not saying I'm gonna say it but I don't want to seem misogynistic. I feel like many of those spaces are masculine spaces, meaning the hard work that needs to be done comes from we need more men in it.
I don't believe in a masculine or feminine space. I believe
I,
in
I,
we are living organisms.
and that's what I'm saying. I
For
didn't want to sound that way, but
you got to
you're
eat,
right.
right?
I don't.
Everybody got to eat, right? Everybody on some
Yeah.
level has to break down the nutrients into calories and then excrete the refuse. That's
Come on,
just
Doc. Come on.
so.
I'm in total agreement with you. It's just that a lot of us women just don't want to put in that level of work.
Okay, that's a
And
different conversation.
Yeah,
That's a
because y'all
different
bought into the
conversation.
white woman's dream. You can be a princess.
mercy,
Whoa.
That's what it
No,
is.
no, no, but real talk. Real talk.
One day it will happen,
knight
right?
in shining armor.
And the truth is, baby, I'm not a prince.
That's real.
It's just not gonna happen. And that's why now we're seeing the trend of a lot of our educated, a lot of our black women who have set a certain standard for themselves. They're not without problem or issue. They're looking elsewhere because if you're aligning with a black man, you're aligning with a partner in the efforts. We're gonna work with you to achieve our goals. We don't got no princesses over here. We both working. And y'all
Wow.
like, I'm trying to, I
Bruh,
want to,
come
you
on, Doc.
know,
Come on.
Listen, you are speaking a
No,
word right here.
come on. Come on.
like,
We
like,
have we have to have reasonable expectations for the context in which we're in. We have to have reasonable expectations for each other because earlier John said that you have to heal the black family. The problem is, and I want to make sure, let me slow down and not get so animated like I tend to. We don't have time to do one and then two.
Yeah.
We have to do both at the same time.
Both and yeah.
We can't do this then. It has to be both
Yeah.
and right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've got to be willing to have the heart. I have, I've been married for 13 years. I'm still young in marriage. But when I married my wife, I said, look here, and she'll tell you, I bring it out here right now. I'm not the most romantic dude at all. At all. My brain does not, I don't think along those lines most of the time. But when I say I love you, that's done. That's like Pythagoras' theorem that he stole from the Egyptians. It does not waver.
Mhm.
So we don't need to be having this question multiple times of, do you do? No, I'm not answering this from a place of romance. I'm answering this from a place of commitment and decision.
Yeah.
So we can have an argument. I'm still laying down in the bed.
Can I be
You're
honest
there.
with you on where I believe this whole, both our financial and our communal problems kind of started? I believe that in 1968 and around that time, a great quote was said. He said, I fear I have integrated my people
Into a
into
burning
a
house.
burning house.
I just
King
said
to
that to
Belafonte.
Jason before I got on the line with you.
MLK said
Dr.
that
King
to
said
King.
that.
He said that to Belafonte.
Yeah. So I
I-
feel like that's what we're dealing with. It's like, okay, once we kind of were accepted into that culture, it got romanticized, and we actually stopped value. Like, do you know that the black
Absolutely
divorce
was.
rate used to be lower than the white divorce rate?
Yeah.
Like significantly lower.
Yeah.
Now it rivals,
Yeah.
right?
And,
We've given up our community for a nice house, education, great cars, Gucci purses. I'm fresh, I'm fly. And listen, I get it.
Princess.
Being a prince, like, I get it. I drive a nice truck. My wife drives.
Me too.
I understand. Like, I'm not. I can't. I get it. However, where do our values lie?
Values.
Like, what is the
what is the work
Foundation.
that we need to do to get there?
right?
This thing ain't given to you on a platter.
Right.
Additionally, if we just follow the princess model in reality, the reality of being a princess means you're one of many. You're not the only.
Mm.
Ooh.
Historically, you could be the queen, but the king had a concubine on the side.
Mm.
He had a harem.
Mm.
He had a couple. So you got all the material, you even got the position,
Mm.
but you didn't get the commitment.
Mm.
Hmm. Y'all men are speaking a word. Y'all are speaking a
And
word.
it's in love. It's in love.
I appreciate it, and you're right. So get in the game together with your partner. And it might be hard, but you got to do it, and you get it with somebody you trust. Get with somebody who also prioritize. I feel like if you get with somebody who has the same mindset, you could do it.
I agree.
Yeah. So
I agree.
prioritize financial literacy. Learn how things work. Learn the principles of economics, entrepreneurship,
Yeah.
capital,
Insurance.
real estate, insurance, things like that. Okay, number 4, invest in assets that build equity
As we've been
Yes.
talking about all
and
night.
not depreciating.
Yeah, your car is not an asset.
Your
Yep.
car is not an asset.
Your
And
shoes are
and
not.
your mansion, your single family mansion is not an asset either.
Like,
Listen to me. If
let's
it
go.
takes money from you and does not make my house did not become an asset until this office became a studio and I was able to write it off and I was able to build some kind of income from it.
Mhm.
And there it is.
So even so if I had to do it all over again, I probably would have gotten a multifamily for the same price that I bought the single family in, live on one side and rent out the other two.
Literally. And so this project that I keep talking about, as we're building like semi-luxury homes, right? You have a basic home, 3-4 bedrooms, options, right? But in addition, on the other side of the garage, you have a built-in mother-in-law suite or a duplex. So now, as a consumer is looking to purchase the property, they're not only having to consider I have an income generating opportunity with this purchase. That automatically raises the value of your home, of what you're like. These are the simplest of principles,
Yes.
And here's the thing: to have a home connected to another home that has embedded in it a sense of community.
Yes.
So for those who have no interest in that, it's because you're far more interested in your independence than you
Individual.
are wealth.
Okay, let's go back. Let's change the word independence to individuality.
Okay.
Individual.
Let's
Okay.
just
Better. Better.
independence is not the challenge, it's
True.
individuality,
Better.
right?
Yes.
It's
Yes.
individuality because it's individuality versus communal
Yep.
versus
Communal.
community.
That's the theme tonight. That's the theme tonight.
That's it. And so no, spot on, man. Like 100%. If it, where's it at? Oh yeah, invest in assets. Like if there is no reason, like real talk. And I was talking to her today, before we got on the phone. Stop flossing. Don't floss. Be simple. Be easy. Keep it simple. Be humble. Because the floss gets you noticed, makes them see, people get angry, and then we lose homes.
Facts.
Facts.
I don't need to be walking down the street in the fur. Give me a flannel. I'm sorry. I like nice stuff too. Let's not get it twisted. But when you
Live in a racist society.
when you live in a society that historically burned your stuff, destroyed your stuff, you better figure out how you're going to maneuver because there's nothing stopping people from doing it again.
Right.
But consider why we're flossing. It goes back to
Insecure.
insecurity, right? So, like, let's go back to my the example I gave of me learning from the rural farmers and carpenters and tradesmen, right? Like, I remember living in South Carolina, and every summer there was a farmer who belonged to our church, and he would let us plant an acre of watermelon. Like just me, my dad, and my brother, and we would go out there every summer, harvest our watermelon, sell it. That was like our little hustle. And this man had 80, 100 and some acres, right? About 100 acres, like acres, crazy acreage. And now this is an old farmer. You see him at church. He got dusty shoes. He drives to church in an F-150 old pickup. His suits wasn't exactly sharp. You know what I mean? If we're being honest, I love him with all my heart. Rest in peace. But if we're being honest, but now as an adult, I look back and I say, 100 and some acres. I wonder what the dollar
Value.
per acre rate was on that.
Right.
So all the time I'm looking like, oh, he's not this, he's not that. When in reality,
He was wealthy.
he's holding more wealth than probably anybody anybody that I knew at the time, right? But
Flossing with depreciable items, but he had appreciating land.
he's living like now his children and children's children and children's children have access to all that he built.
Yes.
And he would have, I don't know his business, so I can't speak in, but owning that, now you're able to leverage that asset or that land to create debt that could generate actual more wealth.
Which is exactly what the wealthy do.
Right.
Yeah. So it's like delayed gratification. Are you gonna spend your money on something that's gonna make you feel great right now in this instant? I just bought another pair of Jordans yesterday, and I felt great when they came in, right? But that's that. It's over, right? I may feel good again when I wear them, but the first time, but then that's that. Or
And it's no longer worth $200. It's now
at
worth
all.
100. It's like 100, and then next week it'll be 50, and then next year it'll be 2.
How much better is it to put that money into something that's going to
That
be much more
increase.
valuable, right?
Yeah.
In 10 years, you could buy a vacant lot for $7,000. You can buy a vacant lot for $7,000. All you got to do is pay the taxes on it for 5 years, and I promise you, it'll be worth more than that $7,000 you paid for it.
Yeah.
Plus, it'll be worth more than the $7,000 plus the taxes, most likely, just by the nature of inflation and how money and property value work. 9 times out of 10, it'll be let's try that. What's a monthly payment on $7,000 at 6% interest? That's negligible.
Right. Exactly. You do that when you eat out.
You can really that's a legitimate hustle.
Listen, just think about the money that our people would save if we just stopped eating out.
I not only save, but actually get healthy. I listen. I'm not perfect, and I just started this 40-day fast. I haven't eaten out in 31 days. I've lost 13 pounds. I've lost it. Like my skin is I drink more water. I haven't drank juice and I don't know how my skin. Well, I always have glowing skin, but like I feel better. Like your health will be better, your money will be better.
That's true. I
It's
mean,
it's
Like
it's
for a
little
family of four,
decisions.
you go out anywhere. If you go out at a moderate rate for a family of four, you're paying $50, $50 to $80 easy.
that's
Where,
cheap. Yeah.
where you
That's
going?
that's like
No,
McDonald's.
but I'm just saying.
Chipotle.
But I'm just saying.
Chipotle. But you're right.
I'm just
All right,
saying.
I
And
need
I'm
to go
talking
where you
low
go.
end. I'm talking
Yeah.
low end.
Yeah,
Right?
that's
Talking
true.
low end.
That's true.
Okay, cool. That's your payment on $7,000.
Right there.
Wow.
Now
That's
you
your
made
payment.
money.
Wow.
That's your monthly payment on $7,000 to
Guys,
buy a
it's a
plot of land.
period. Like that, like a simple decision like that. Right? I always talk about people I can't I that I told them put $7,000 in a Roth IRA. That's about a little over $500 a month. I can't afford it. You then don't buy that car then that you pay $500 for a month for. Like you can't afford what you're doing to stop you from investing in the stock market. You can't afford what you're doing to stop yourself from investing in land.
What is the budget? The monetary value of what the Black nation expends is somewhere in the vicinity of what?
Trillions?
It's like $1 trillion a year or something to that effect. Is that right?
I thought it was 3, but
Fine. But
Yeah.
it's
Trillions.
whatever.
Yeah.
It's up there, right?
Mhm.
If we lived at our means in a collective way
Communal way.
and stopped living at the extent of our means in an overextended way,
Mm-hmm.
where would the Black nation be in 3 years? Just
out of
where
a
would
lot
we
of out of a lot of debt.
Out of a lot of debt.
And debt is
Out of
almost
a lot
like, that debt cripples a lot of people. Like I've been working with my parents over the last year of work getting, they're both retired, and they did well, things are good, but it's church retirement, right? So it's not like so okay, what's the strategy? Let's cut out some of these erroneous debts, and so that way you can just live free and life is good.
Yeah.
And at first they were like, "Oh, this is going to be impossible." I said, "Guys, legit, like, let's come up with a plan." It was like Christmas. We were all in their basement. Christmas, we came up with a strategy, and today they're debt free. My dad said, I left $53 on the card just because, right? So like, it's doable.
So doable.
It's
And,
doable.
and you can empower. I lived with my mother for 5 years, paid her rent, and assisted her in saying we're going to put that extra money on the mortgage. My mother has been debt free for the past 5 years.
Like
She has been totally debt free, and she lives debt free. You can be involved in empowering your family, your community to even being debt free. Instead of living in that big apartment that's paying $2,000 a month, how about you pay your mama 500? Now you keep 1,500 for yourself and pay your mama 5. Your
I
mom
think
will
it's
take the 5.
facts.
Now she's out of debt and you are building what that's how I was able to buy this house. Because I gave her 5 and kept the extra for myself and then moved into my own home. Listen, that's how you invest in assets and not depreciable things. Assets, my friends, homes that make you money, things that make you money. That's what you invest in. Number 5, before you start, support and collaborate within networks. I think that's what we've been talking about all day long. Go ahead, Jason, go ahead.
No, I just want us to. It just hit me as I was thinking about it. I was like, the language that hit me was escapism.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that we have been expecting more than what is givable. And I believe that in the last 60 years, I'm going to get people are going to get mad at me when I say this, but hear what I'm trying to say. I think this was about as free as it was going to get.
It's over.
I think that this has been about as free as it was going to get.
That's
And
it, girl.
is that just? Is that just? That's not the question. The question is, did we have space to build?
Yes, we did.
And I have a suspicion that we just kept running.
I mean, how many trips y'all go on a year?
Not many.
Maybe not y'all specifically, but if we're looking at what's the common trend within our culture, right?
Going on vacation.
I gotta take a trip. When you talk about escapism, right?
Yeah.
Like instead of like think about if somebody's spending and these trips aren't cheap. Like we go on some trips every now and then too. Like I'm not like right, and I know these trips aren't cheap. You know, we're in Costa Rica, we're in Cuba, we're here, we're there.
I went on a whole bunch of trips with my friends.
It
And
adds up.
especially Black women, we be going on trips all the time. It's escaping.
What's that? What's that yearly trip budget looking like? You at 20 grand, 13 grand, 15 grand? Like imagine now what can be done with the right. Like not saying don't go on trips, but what I'm saying is
Yeah.
if we're looking at how we're utilizing our funds and our resources in our prime earning years, because it's like a standard deviation. We're at a peak point, but we at that 65% right now. It's sweet, but eventually we're gonna slide to that 15,
Yeah.
and then it's just you only got what you had, right? And so let's look at these trips and how we're spending this money, and we could even go on the trip, but while you're there, let's figure out some ways to capitalize on that experience
Experience.
to bring money back into your circle, right? Am I going to buy some property out here? Am I going to start importing some goods, or sir, like what's the play? What am I doing?
Are we going to be doing some kind of
Like,
personal
the
development?
build, like the communal build.
Yes.
You know, the communal build, the idea of where we are building us.
Us, community.
But in the community, everybody has to play a part.
Yes.
Because I'm gonna tell you right now, if you don't have a skill, I'm kicking you out of my community. I don't have room. I only have room for those who I need. Right? Like my brother, he got skills. My brother-in-law, he got skills. My cousins got skills. Right?
Skill
And like that, growing up, that was important to us.
set. That's the boundary. That's the boundary right there, John.
Now, what can you do?
If you want to be in a part of the network and you gotta develop a skill and bring a skill to the table,
Yeah.
because nobody's gonna be leeching off of nobody.
Yeah, I told my wife the first night I met her, yeah, I'm gonna marry you. Well, the first night we went on we hung out, I'm gonna marry you. And I was able to do that because I'm looking at who her community is. I said, oh, your people work hard. Oh, that's your brother, that's your cousin, that's your uncle, that's your mom. Oh, you okay. I can work with this because I know that in 15 years, in 10 years, in 20 years, we can build something together.
Build something together.
And see,
Like
that's the thing, and that's the next thing. Or that is a thing, is the idea of consistent strategic thinking.
Yes.
Everything
I need
has
that in my life.
My experience, and I'm not speaking for everybody. I will not. My experience has been that of non-strategic, and it's a survivalist mentality.
Right.
And I'm not mad at anybody. I get it. I understand survivalist thinking. I get it. And if we're building something, which is what we should have done as a people, if we're building, and I understand the things that got destroyed before. I get it. And you got to build again.
Gotta build again.
Anybody that goes and plays outside, if you've been in the country at all, you come across an anthill, you destroy that anthill, that thing is rebuilt within 2 days.
Comes back.
Because there's no way to get around it. Right? And so if we're going to survive, if we're going to thrive, not only survive, but thrive, because we have survived. That's the thing. We have been surviving.
Very well. Yeah,
we have been surviving. As a collective, have we been thriving?
Correct. Mm-hmm.
That's going to take a shift.
Yeah.
That's going to take a shift. That's going to take a lot of interdependence, a lot of willingness to relearn and reformulate, relearn the skill sets,
Yeah.
some humility,
Yeah.
right? It's going to take some stuff. Like if I have to work with John and I'm working on John's terms, I belong to House of John. I have a set of skills. I have some things that I can do. Okay, fine. John may not need that right now. All right, John, what does John need? And then how do I grow myself to benefit that community that I'm trying to be a part of?
Yeah.
This is if we're not thinking like this, if we don't begin, and we can't do it in mass, like it's not going to happen nationwide.
Locally in networks.
Small local stuff, and I'll tell you why. Because we need to stop advertising. There are conversations that need to happen that do not involve anybody but us.
I agree. Everybody don't got to come to the cookout, bro.
No. Everybody don't have to come to the cookout.
Everybody got to come.
And even if they come to the cookout, everybody don't have to be around the barbecue pit.
Well, yeah, there you go. You
can sit over there by the Kool-Aid or whatever you're drinking over there. We over here at the pit. We'll be right back. You sit over there. We'll be right back.
And the truth is, when the elders are managing and strategizing for the wealth of their village, you can't let the randos just pop in.
No.
You can't let the friends of the friends and the people who's Nope. I'm sorry. This is 2 doors deep.
Mm-hmm.
You need 2 passwords to get back here, buddy. You
don't have the secret handshake or the step.
You don't have any of it. So there does though our community, our inclusiveness with our community is valuable. It can't we can't sacrifice our discernment.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And what I literally I can't even tell you. Like literally, my wife at Advent Health doing her thing have amazing ideas. And she told me like this phenomenal idea. And I'm like, babe, I love it, but keep it to your chest. Keep it close to the chest. But she's an excitable person, right? So she talks and tells her coworkers. And now someone from another department
took it and ran with it.
Completely ran with it.
Yep. That's what always happens.
And so I said, it's not about like you not wanting to share. Because, she'll say, we'll go to social gatherings. John, don't tell them about what you're... not everything. I'll tell you the business. Like you said, strategic. Everything we do and say has got to be strategic. That means we're thinking about our future, our plan. Like if I buy a car, I've got to be strategic about that car. If I bought an F-150 with a hybrid motor that I can plug in, if a hurricane and my power go out, I don't need a generator because my truck can run for 3 days. That was my strategy. I live in Florida. We have hurricanes every year. Now I don't have to worry about this. Boom. That's the strategy, right? We got to do, no matter what it is you're doing, put thought behind it. And we'll notice many of our decisions that yield unfavorable consequences will start to decrease in frequency. Simply because we're just thinking more thoroughly about what we're doing. Is that like at work? That's all my job. Like that's all I do. It's just like, oh, so what are y'all doing? All right, so how does that connect to that? So why are you doing that? Y'all weren't being very strategic when you came up with this plan. That's why it's not working. Let's connect these dots. Let's re-engage that strategy.
You know what that is, guys? That takes a lot of work. Going back to
it does
that kind of stuff. So listen, we're gonna close tonight. We're gonna close. Number one, you got to invest in enterprises communally. You got to develop diverse income streams. You got to prioritize financial literacy communally. You got to invest in assets that build equity communally. You got to support and collaborate with networks. And all of these things require hard work and togetherness with skills and strategy.
Yeah.
Skills and strategy. So final thoughts from both of you. Go ahead.
Just be willing to invest in yourself. Yeah. You're going to work hard regardless.
Yeah.
You're going to work hard. If you hustling on the corner, you working hard because you got to out hustle the other dude on the corner and you got to get away from the cops. If you working a 9 to 5 and making $30 an hour, you still got to work hard or else they're going to fire you. But you working for somebody else. We We have the hard work ethic.
We got to start doing
Work
it
for
for us.
yourself.
We got to do it for us.
Do it for the fam.
We're so insecure, we're afraid. So we got to come out of fear.
But those skills help cure in the insecurity.
Yeah.
Once you feel that self-worth and value because you know something, and I know that no matter how you look at me, I know what I know.
Mhm.
I know what equity looks like. I know how to go from $270,000 to $520,000. You can't take that from me. So now there's a confidence that I don't really care if you like my outfit or no, because I know what I'm doing. I can eat tonight. I can do it. I make more money than my boss. I'm good with there's a confidence that comes with knowing how to take care of yourself and your family. And I think that's the cure for that insecurity that pushes us away from skill development, as Jay was talking about. For my final thought, I really believe that going back to the network, like I have two, uh, I have two very successful real estate brokers in my network. One in Georgia, one in Florida. Figure out what you want to do and create a network that's going to help get you there. My network is thankfully is family, so I'm blessed that family can help me get to where I want to go. But get the people plugged into your circle so that you can accomplish the goals you want to accomplish. If you want to be a mogul at audio visual things, podcasts and music and that kind of thing, you got to plug into the people who can make that happen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So for me, it's land development, real estate. That's my so all right. I'm at their feet every time we're hanging out. I'm at their feet. Yo, what can I learn? What did happen with that? How did that deal go? What did you do there? What messed that up? What did your builder do? What did the contractor do? What did the county say? I want to learn. And so that's my final word. Just plug yourself into the people who can help you transition to that next stage.
Man, I was so consumed with this conversation, I forgot there was a chat. People were chatting up a storm.
That's
Oh
dope.
my goodness, guys! I'm so sorry, and a grip of them probably left. Mentality of eating the crumbs off the master's table is better than not eating at all. But we can learn to build our own table and make our own food. Oh my goodness, all these gems out here that I just ignored. Edward Roberts says it's a mindset. Yeah, my mom says my cousin's 23-year-old son just got a BA in nuclear engineering, now on the way to Chi-Town with a great job. All right, Ma, she's been saying that all day.
Chicago's a great place to invest. So that new high earning income, while you young, go ahead and start investing in real estate, investing in
Start investing.
opportunities.
I'm gonna be in Chi-Town tomorrow. I'm gonna see what's up. To 92% Tiffany. Yep, 92%. Get that account. She laughing. Man, okay. There's one more chat. Space to build resources in peace. I'm not sure that was ever the case during most of the 60 years. Shane Ray disagrees with the space. I feel like we in the area of integration, I'm in agreement with Jason. I do think that there was opportunities to build resources. Maybe not having the full level of peace because of what they were pushing in our communities, etc., etc. But I think what happens was I think we were so consumed with trying to get in their dream, we would take those things. That's what I think he's saying. I feel like if we had never decided to be a part of their system, what we should have done is get the freedom of education and things like that, but not desire to integrate into a burning house, but rather
build your own.
Build our own. That's what we had the space to build our own.
But remember that education and that culture, that Christian culture, which were two big impacts of blacks in that time in this country, those things kind of created that appetite for their culture.
Yeah.
Right? Like you said, remember, black women are our most educated.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what the motivation for a lot of that education is? A nice life.
Yeah.
No struggle. My daddy was a blue collar worker, and that nigga struggled. I mean, that guy struggled. I'm like, I don't want that. So I'm gonna go to school. I'm gonna go be a lawyer. I'm gonna go be a doctor. I'm gonna do these things
Make
because
this money.
I don't want to identify with this kind of the struggle experience. And we often forget that. Not to say I'm advocating for struggle, but the struggle does refine us. So at some point in your experience, you're gonna have to experience some struggle.
Yeah.
It's kind of up to you where that struggle is gonna lie a lot of times. And so I say I want my struggle on the front end. Let me struggle learning skills and learn how to make money and learn how to develop great things so that as I grow and I get hardships and challenges, oh, I've already managed this kind of struggle before. I know how to adjust and deal with this.
Mhm.
I can lean on this person to help me get through this one. I've got a roadmap because I've experienced struggle. I've experienced some challenges. Like one of my mentors, Dr. James Law, he's passed now, rest in peace. But I remember I used to go help him cut his grass and just lock in with him on Sundays. And he money, like he was the chancellor of a college, like bread at the time. And I'm just like learning from him. He's like, man, I remember when my son was a baby. And
Wait, what's his name?
Dr. Lowe.
Oh man, I know Lo from Columbus.
Yes, yeah, from
Oh
Columbus.
yeah.
Absolutely.
That dude was solid.
Like solid, like
Yeah.
one of my mentors, like
Yeah.
he got my brother playing college ball, like solid, like a whole generation of us black boys from Columbus were up through his program, and all of us are doing well in life now, right?
Mhm.
And so I remember him saying, like, yeah, when my son was a baby, I used to go steal meat out of the freezer at work. And this is head elder Dr. Lowe, right? And I'm like, what? Like, he's like, yo, bro, like we were struggling when I was in grad school. We didn't have any. I had to steal the leftover meat from the freezer, take it home and cook it. And that taught me then, as like, yo, okay, I got to lock in for the struggle because this man is rich. He's got a great life. He's got everything I could ever want. And
Yeah.
he had to go through it.
Yes, he did.
So why would I be exempt?
Yes, he did.
And so I locked in. And that's what helped give me the push to lock in. Right now, my son is struggling at Forest Lake, right? But he says, Daddy, I'm going to go to tutoring every single day. The Joker bringing grades up from F's to B's. All because of he's pushing through. He's learned like, oh, this discomfort for the sufferings of this present time won't be worth remembering when the God's glory is revealed in my life. You gotta push through the struggle to get to the success. That's just you can't avoid the struggle.
Listen,
Frederick Douglass says, without struggle, there is no progress. Go ahead.
Let me read this quote, and it's by G. Michael Hoff. He says this, and it's been on YouTube on the web for a little bit. Hard times create strong men. Strong men create good times. Good times create weak men, and weak men create hard times.
Mm.
And the principle here is, if you create good times, don't deprive your children of hard times.
Mm.
So you have generations of strong people that have intentionally put themselves through hard times.
That's it. Let's choose what that hard time is. Hey, son, let's get you to vet school, and I'm gonna help support you, and I'm gonna go in with you on this veterinary clinic when you graduate. But I need to see you put in that struggle in veterinary school, though. But when you get out and when you're ready, we're gonna build you something together. But you got to go through the struggle. You got to go through it.
Yeah,
I love it.
And it's not just son; it's daughter and
my daughter
wife.
too.
And wife.
Oh,
we all gotta go. We gotta all go through the struggle together, ladies.
That's true. That's true. I talk all that junk about the princesses, but I do perpetuate it just a little bit.
Hey, look at that! Look at that!
I do.
I heard you. I learned from you today, so I was like, okay. Listen, guys, this conversation was awesome, and I'm fired up. I really, really am, and I hope that people are also fired up, and I hope that we can somehow impact what I'm learning. We can't try to do the masses. That can be overwhelming.
Yeah.
But everybody will go to their individual network and build up build up, collaborate, and support our individual network. Make it communal. Let us grow. Guys, thank you guys so much for watching. We had a good couple of people watching. Have a good night. I am the phenomenal STEMist, and so are these gentlemen here. We are united, y'all.
Absolutely.
We are united. Don't let I always say statistical significance over social media. We as a nation are united, and we just need to get with our individual networks and build our community.